Welcome back. This story is called Attempting Suicide While in Jail. I went to jail a total of 3 times. The first time I spent 5 months in jail. I was released. Then I got rearrested and I spent another 2 months and I was released, and I was rearrested again and I spent 3 more months. So I spent a total of 10 months in jail. The third time I was in jail, I could not sleep. Okay? In those days, I could not sleep. I needed medication for sleep. When you go to jail, there's a psychiatrist, but she only comes once a week on Wednesdays. So I was arrested on a Thursday, and I couldn't get in to see the psychiatrist until the following Wednesday. And I couldn't sleep. I wrote an email to the medical department. I need to see the psychiatrist. Please make me an appointment. I can't sleep. I need to be on medication for sleep. It took a week, like I said, to get into the psychiatrist. On my 5th night in jail, I'd been in there, couldn't sleep. The night comes, 11 o'clock at night, they close the door. Me and my cellmate, we're in a two-person cell. You hear the door crash. I mean, when they lock the door at night, it makes this huge sound of metal clanging against metal, crash. I mean, you really know you're in jail. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. So I'm laying there at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. It's been 5 nights I've been there, can't sleep. I decide I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna commit suicide. There was this guy named Aaron Hernandez, who was a football player for the New England Patriots. He was in jail because he killed somebody. He committed suicide in jail. Aaron Hernandez did. He tied his sheet to the bars of his door of his cell and put his neck in and hung himself. Okay? He died. So I decided that's what I was going to do. So I got out of bed. I took my sheet. I tied one corner to the bar of the door, the cell door, another corner to the other side of the other bar, and made a noose like this. It looked like that. I went around to the back, so my back was against the door, and I put my neck into this noose. I mean, I was going to do it. I mean, I was this close, to killing myself. And I put my neck in this noose, and I lifted my legs, and I could feel the pressure against my throat. And I thought for a second, I'm like, this is it. This is it. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to die. Well, I didn't die, obviously. I fell. The knots came out. Okay, the weight of my body loosened these knots. I fell to the floor. And I blacked out, okay, because I've been choking. I estimate probably 30 seconds before I fell. So I was oxygen deprived. I hit the floor, and it snapped me back. I was awakened. All of a sudden, I'm like, where am I? Where am I? I was hallucinating. I was seeing sparkles. Everywhere I was looking, it was sparkles. It looked like I was on a lake in Wisconsin. And because it looked like a sparkling lake. I could see houseboats on this lake. And I said to myself, oh, I'm on vacation in Wisconsin. And then I thought about it a little bit longer, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm in jail. If I was on vacation in Wisconsin, I would know I was on vacation, and then I realized where I was. For some reason, instead of going back to bed, I started yelling. Somebody help me. Somebody help me, over and over again. Really loud, so everybody could hear. And 6 corrections officers, COs they're called, came running toward my cell. I could see them coming up. Some of them were carrying orange boxes, for EMTs, like for crash boxes. They came into my cell, opened the door. I told them what happened. I said, I tried to kill myself. I didn't kill myself. I have to go to the infirmary. They took me to the infirmary. There was no doctor there, but there was a nurse. The nurse was there 24 hours a day. There was always a nurse there. And she was pissed. She was pissed at me. She goes, why didn't you wait 2 days? 2 days you could have gotten in to see the psychiatrist. And I'm like, I didn't know. Nobody ever wrote me back. I didn't know. One of the guys even accused me. He said, you're lying. You didn't try to kill yourself. I did. I'm like, why would I lie about that? So they decided to take me to the psych ward, okay, the psych ward in the jail. Let me tell you, the worst place you can be in Seminole County is in the psych ward of the Seminole County Jail. Okay, that is the absolute worst place you can be in Seminole County. They put me in this cell. All I had was a mat, like a 2-inch thick mattress on the floor. That was it. No sheets, no blankets, no nothing. I had to take off all my clothes, so I'm completely naked. They give you this thing that they call the boys in the jail called it the turtle suit. Turtle suit. It was like this big Velcro thing that kind of wrapped around you, and it was supposed to give you some coverage, but your butt was always exposed. There's no way to cover your butt with this turtle suit. It was very uncomfortable. It was like heavy. It was like made out of Kevlar. But that's the only clothing that I had. So I'm in this cell. I spent 3 days in this cell. Didn't sleep. I slept maybe 5 minutes. Somewhere along the line, I slept like 5 minutes. Laying on the floor, I could feel the concrete below my hip. I mean, there was no cover. There was no mattress thick enough to keep the concrete off my hip. Laying on the floor for 3 days. The entire time that I'm in there, there's a guy who's in a cell. And again, we're in the psych ward, directly across from me. There was my cell, there was a small hallway, and then there was another cell with a guy in it. His name was Daniel. And Daniel was screaming at the top of his lungs for 20 hours a day. Okay, 20 hours a day, this guy screamed. And I could see him because he was reflected in the glass. There was glass on the side of my cell, and I could look in, and I saw him, and he was wearing pants. I mean, he had clothes on, and he had a shower. And I'm like, how come this guy got to wear clothes? How come this guy got a shower? Well, the reason was because he was not on suicide watch. He was in there because he was mentally unstable. And screaming and screaming and screaming. I couldn't make out a word he was saying. Sometimes he sounded like he was rapping, and sometimes I heard like names of girls, like Christine or Debbie or something. But whatever it was at the top of his lungs, screaming 20 hours a day. He stopped for like 4 hours. I figured that was probably when he was asleep. So all the time he was awake, he screamed the whole time. And I could hear him. I mean, I couldn't get any. I tried taking toilet paper and sticking it in my ears. I heard that was a way to make earplugs. That didn't work. So I had to listen to this guy scream for 3 days. And by the way, the only thing I ate the whole time I was in there, they gave me nothing but bologna sandwiches. Bologna sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was it. Bologna sandwich. That's all I ate for 3 days. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. They were bringing in a styrofoam container. And on the container were the letters FF. FF. It took me a long time to figure out what FF meant, but I finally figured it out. FF meant finger food. Finger food. In other words, this is food that could be eaten without a spoon or a fork. Because I didn't have a spoon or fork. All I had was my fingers. Finger food. And one time, somebody in the kitchen who prepared this finger food must have known where it was going, and you must have known it was going to the psych ward, drew a little smiley face on the container to try to brighten my day. They didn't have to. It was just something they did arbitrarily. And one time, there were 2 slices of cucumber in the tray. That was the only fresh vegetable I ever saw when I was in Seminole County Jail. But somebody in the kitchen thought enough of the poor person who's in the psych ward, they slipped him 2 pieces of cucumber. Finally, the 3rd day came, and the psychiatrist was there. It was a woman. The first thing she did, I saw her come in. I could see her through the slots in my door. She went and she opened Daniel's door. And this is how I knew his name was Daniel, because she called him Daniel. And she said to him, Daniel, are you ready to take your medications? That's what she said. Daniel, are you ready to take your medications? And he said, no. Okay? So she closed the door and she left him there. So he stayed there for as long as his jail sentence was gone, screaming at the top of his lungs for 20 hours a day because he would not take his medication. Then she came to my cell and she said, are we going to have a problem with you? That's what she said. Are we going to have a problem with you? Meaning, am I going to do this again? Am I going to try this again? And I said, no. You'll never have a problem. Send me back to to my wing. You'll never hear from me again. So she goes, okay, fine. I'm going to send you back. I'm releasing you. You're going to go back to your regular cell. It took about 2 hours because there was a shift change. All the guards were leaving and the new guards were coming on. So it took a while before somebody actually came to my cell and walked me back to where I was originally. So for the next 2 hours, I stood there and I screamed. Okay, I screamed at Daniel. And I was screaming because I was so pissed at this guy for keeping me up for 3 days. I was screaming, Daniel, your mother hates you. Your mother dropped you on your head. Daniel, your mother hates you. I kept for 2 hours, and for 2 hours, he was quiet. I mean, I could see him in the mirror. He was like, what's going on? Who's calling my name? So finally they came and they took me back to my cell, or my regular cell. And I thought that when I came back, the people, my former cellmates, would be happy. They would go, hey, you're back, you're back. What was it like? Nobody cared. In fact, they cared so little that they'd actually taken my stuff out of the cell and moved it to some other, like somebody had moved my stuff without my knowledge. So I was no longer in the same cell, I was in some other cell. So that's the story of attempting suicide while in jail. Don't forget to read my book, Broccoli Time by Dante Allen, available now on Amazon Books.